It's day 3 of our 4-day email writing sprint, where we're rewriting 16 emails in total, and today we are writing email number 9. And by the way, if you want to get the full set of 16 emails that we're rewriting during this email writing sprint, including the ones that we've already written, you can get them all for free at the website below. So in yesterday's video, we talked about how to write an email to ask someone to be in the wedding party. And today we're going to talk about how to write an email to ask someone to give a speech at your wedding. Now, before you get into actually drafting the email asking somebody to speak at your wedding, it's important to first understand the context of giving a speech at your wedding. And in particular, you should consider 2 things. First, why is it that people give speeches at weddings? Second, what do wedding speeches typically include? Do people give speeches at weddings to commemorate the occasion, celebrate the marriage, and to share their love and well wishes for the couple? And what the general format of a wedding speech is, it's time to draft the actual email. They'll include a story or an anecdote about the couple. But basically, according to this article, wedding speeches have been around since the Victorian era, and they took off really during the 1800s. Before that, toasts were given at weddings, but they didn't really involve speeches. You were such a wonderful, fun-loving person, and we know you'd be able to say some very kind and heartwarming words. Of course, feel no pressure and only say yes if you're comfortable with it. Let us know either way at your earliest convenience, as we need to finalize our plans. We know from experience that you would be great at keeping everyone entertained and the whole thing lighthearted. You know, nowadays, people expect there to be some kind of speech at the wedding reception, and according to this article, that tradition has remained consistent ever since. They'll often include some words of advice for the couple. There may be some roasting of the couple, like I said, and then there will be a toast. They also give speeches so that other people can share their memories and stories about the couple that they may not have known otherwise. I've got some example text here that you can use. Basically, it's letting them know that you were thinking of them when you were making your list of potential speakers and you think that they would do a good job. Again, you could expand on this a little bit if you wanted. You could talk about maybe a characteristic of theirs that makes you think they'd be good at this. Or maybe you could tell a little story about how they acted at your engagement party or your bachelor or bachelorette party or something like that. Anything that would show them that you've been thinking about them, that you really value their friendship and their role in your life would be good to include here. It's also a time for friends and family to roast the couple a little bit, or to make fun of them a little bit, but in good taste, of course. I think it's important to include this because obviously you do, and want someone to feel pressured into speaking at your wedding. I've got some example text here that you can use as is. It's perfectly fine. In addition, if someone says no, you still want them to be invited to the wedding. Remember, if you want the full set of 16 emails that we're rewriting during this email writing sprint, you can grab them all for free at the website below. I'll see you then. You do want to offend them or make them feel bad if they do want to speak. So it's usually a pretty lighthearted and celebratory thing. That means replacing the names where I put these square brackets. Pretty simple stuff. If you're sending this email with your partner, that is. Now I've gone ahead and used the person's name in the salutation here, but if you prefer, you could just use dear plus the person's last name. You could also be a little more casual if you're closer to this person. Maybe you could just use hey plus their first name. Wedding speeches typically follow a certain structure. They might start with a greeting. Now, if you'd like to learn more about the history of wedding speeches, I strongly recommend reading an article. I'll link to it down in the description below. Basically, it's just letting the person know that you were getting excited for the wedding, okay? And you're rethinking about the reception and you want them to do a speech. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit more detail here. For instance, you could tell them what your wedding date is. Or you could tell them that you've already asked a few other people to speak. And you're re-asking them now because you think they would do a really good job. Okay, so now that you have an understanding of why people give speeches at weddings. 2. Add name of person here. Subject. Asking his or her to speak at our wedding. Hi. Add name of person. I hope you're doing well. We're getting so excited for our wedding. And we wanted to ask you a very special favor. As you probably know, speeches are a big part of the reception, and we immediately thought of you when putting together our list of people to ask. We'd love for you to consider giving a speech at our wedding. Thank you again for everything, and we can't wait to celebrate with you. Warmly, your name and partner's name. So let's go through this email together, and I'll show you how to customize it for your own wedding. The first thing that you'll want to do is replace the bracketed information with your own details. Next up, let's take a look at the salutation. Moving on to the first paragraph, you'll see that I've got some example text here that you can use as is. It's totally fine. Next, you'll want to write a sentence or two explaining why you want this person to speak at your wedding. Next, I've got a sentence saying that they do and have to do it, and that you understand if they say no. Finally, you'll want to end with a call to action, letting them know that you need an answer soon because you need to plan accordingly. Last but not least, you'll want to sign the email with your names. Okay, so that is how to write an email to ask someone to give a speech at your wedding. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to write email number 10, which is how to write an email to ask a child to be in the wedding party.